Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Durfboy1262 and it says, am I the arsehole? Parents bought younger sister with serious issues a 25k car for Christmas, while all I got was a phone case. Been needing a car for a couple of years. Parents promised one, but gave her one instead. In my family, there are 2 kids, sister and I, and my parents. Christmas was coming up and I've been wanting a car for about a year now because I've obviously gotten my green peas, Australian thing that you can get when you're older than 18. My parents have mentioned in the past the idea of me paying for half and they cover the other half of a car. Under total 10k Australian dollars. I can afford this. I've saved most of my money from the 2 jobs I've kept since I was 14. So no biggie. I've also been relying on my mum to drive me to work for the last 4 years. So it was a smart move on their end rather than driving me the 30 minutes each way every shift I've got. My sister has just turned 17. Which is when you can get your red peas in Australia. She's never had a job and has no money saved whatsoever. I love her a lot, but she's made some questionable decisions towards her future lately. But that's a separate story. My parents haven't seemed to care as much as they probably should have about these things, and are acting like everything's normal and all good. With Christmas coming up at the time and my birthday in early January, I thought this might be the time my parents get me the car I've wanted for the last year, as they've mentioned this idea for the last couple of months. I'm obviously excited the week leading up to Christmas, wondering what type of car they've bought or what they're looking at. I wake up Christmas Day around 10 AM to the sound of my younger sister crying, but in a happy way. I'm excited for her as she's obviously gotten something she's wanted. I walk downstairs and no one's at the Christmas tree, but a present with my name is sitting there. I figure I'll come back to it after I find my parents. Check the front door and it's wide open. Walk out to the driveway to see a brand new blue Hyundai i30 sitting in the driveway with a big ribbon on the front. Around 25k. My sister is at the side of it crying with my parents' arms around her. I ask who it's for and my parents tell me her. I probably could have handled this better, but I stormed back into the house, closed my door and stayed in there for the rest of the day. Didn't go with my family to see anyone else for Christmas because of how annoyed I was. My parents asked me why I did that when they got home. So I asked them why they bought her a car before me, who's older, willing to pay half, had a job, goes to school and has a stable plan for the future. They don't have an answer to that one, so they just stay quiet and after a couple of minutes of awkward silence, they walk out. By this point, I had forgotten about the present they left under the tree downstairs, so I walked down to open it, and it's a new phone case from eBay, something I had no use for. I can't get over what they've done. Am I the arsehole? Zitra says, not the arsehole. Everyone will be pissed at these disproportionate gifts. However, your birthday is in early January. Could they be planning on getting you a car for your birthday? Opie says, that could be a possibility. I'll have to wait and see on that one. But now that I've thought about it more and that this has happened, I've realized the favoritism has been clear all through my life. She's always gotten the better version of everything. Their time and affection. They easily dedicate more of their time to her overall, despite being essentially a dropkick. Life sucks sometimes, and I'm coming to learn that now. Opie responds when asked about was anything left out of the story. Opie says, my reaction to the Christmas morning surprise was definitely a little toned down because it was too many characters, but there was a lot of swearing under my breath, punching pillows for a solid half hour. But other than that, not much left out. Opie added their first update in the comments and says, I've had a long and deep chat with my parents. I've told them exactly how I feel and reminded them about what they promised. They sounded apologetic, and I think maybe they're starting to understand my point of view a bit more. They said they didn't want to ruin anything but wait until my birthday and see what happens. However, I feel like this wasn't their intention all along, and they only said that to get me back on their side. I'll wait and see how it all turns out, but only time can tell. Thanks for all the comments and upvotes. I'm trying my best to reply to as many as possible, but it's gonna take some time. I hope everyone has a great holiday, and I'll update mid-Jan when I know the final outcome. Opie adds another update and says update. So my birthday was the 11th of January. My parents were seeming nicer than usual the entire week beforehand, which might be because they had some time off work or they had a surprise. The outcome was somewhere in the middle of what I was expecting though. On my birthday, they told me that they were sorry for buying my sister a car for Christmas when I deserved one and really needed it more than her. So they told me that they'd given me $10,000 to be able to afford something I'd really like and enjoy taking care of, and also to drive to and from work, to school/uni and everything else. The outcome couldn't have really been much better than this one, especially since they originally said they'd help with the $5,000 towards the car I want. So I'm pretty happy with it. Not going to complain anymore about the situation. I just hope they stop the favoritism and obvious extra love and support they gave to my sister all this time. Thanks for all the support on the original post. I think we're around 7.7k upvotes as of now, which is pretty good. And thanks for all the messages with advice on the situation. Edit, the 10k upvotes make up for the 10k difference in money. Thanks everyone. And this all just felt bitter-sweet for me. You know, OP got some money towards their car, which they seem happy about, but I think in the grand scheme of things, the favoritism hasn't stopped. And OP knows this, and it's just like this is the best of a shitty situation. That's kind of how it felt to me anyway, which is really sad. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Particular Anxious 20, who says, "Am I the arsehole for skipping my friend's birthday without warning because his girlfriend calls me the typical GBF?" Miles and I have known each other since we were 2 because our parents are best friends. Now, I would not say Miles is my best friend. He's a good friend and we do hang out on occasion, but see each other on all major holidays because of our parents. We're in our early 20s. The problem started because of a dumb childhood memory. When we were 8, we had a wedding play on school aftercare. I played the bride and Miles played the groom. It was a play with horrible songs and uncoordinated kids. Obviously, our parents made pictures and videos of that, and we each have one picture on our family picture walls. Miles is dating Lindy. They met 3 years ago and started dating last year. Lindy does not like me. So every time we coincided a celebration, she made a comment about me being the typical girl best friend. She one time said that I secretly wanted to sleep with Miles. I have no clue where she got that impression from. Miles and I have different friend groups and schedules. Besides the monthly catch up over food, we didn't really meet that much. Things got worse when Lindy saw the wedding play picture. The comments just got more. She even started DMing me on Instagram saying she knew what game I was playing. I talked to Miles once about this and he told me to give her time. So his birthday was on Saturday and I was invited. Lindy wrote me saying something along the lines that she was going to supervise me. This was their first birthday as a couple and I was not allowed to take up his time. I was honestly just fed up. I tried talking to Miles once more, but he said the same thing. So I just skipped out. When the party started, I wrote a quick sorry I can't come and told him my mother was going to bring his present. Now he is upset with me for missing his birthday. Lindy is mad that I made it all about myself and my parents are upset I missed a family function. Am I the arsehole? Edit. I didn't show anyone the message because I didn't want to make more out of this than it is. I didn't want to poison anyone against Lindy, especially not she is a new fixture in Miles' life. That would make both our lives more difficult. I hope that just talking about it might be more the adult thing. My parents are not mad at me or blowing up my phone, a la Reddit fashion. They and Miles' parents were just bummed out that this was the first birthday that I ever missed. As to why she is jealous, I have no idea. neither of our parents ever wanted us to get together. There were no jokes or anything about it. I think they also never would want that. The wedding play picture is in the living rooms because they loved the picture and it was our first play. OP's first update says, I will update you in the first part and clarify some things later. After my post, I talked to Miles. At first, he was kind of mad and thought I'd been blowing things out of proportion. Some more details are in my last post. We came to the conclusion of taking more distance while he figures that all out, mainly because I did not want the added stress of petty drama. Then I talked to my parents and explained to them what was going on. They were really upset by how Lindy treated me. Obviously, they weren't going to get involved, but it was nice to get that off my chest. Then nothing else happened until Tuesday evening. Wednesday was a holiday, so some of my friends took the opportunity to go to an Irish pub to do karaoke. At some point, my best friend and I went to pee and touch up our makeup. Then Lindy and one of her friends walked in and kind of cornered us. It wasn't pretty. They stared, loudly talking about man stealing bitches, and how some women were just born to be homewreckers. And imagine being pathetic enough to pretend to be a guy's friend to fuck him, and how pick-me's are the worst. They kept kind of edging us physically into the part where the hand dryers were, while pretending we were not there. Until my best friend had had enough and just pushed through them while pulling me behind her. We were almost at our table when Lindy went right behind me and pulled my hair, so I fell backwards onto like a metallic piece where you were supposed to put your feet on. It hurt so bad that I started to see white, and then a girl next to Lindy poured beer on me. I cannot really tell you what happened, but there was a scuffle, and someone dropped one of those heavy pint glasses on my head. The Lindys were taken away by police, and I was taken to the hospital. My parents were furious as Miles were present. They both came to the hospital, and I was severely concussed. My nose was fractured, and the worst thing is that I have a hairline fracture in my back. I stayed in the hospital till yesterday morning. Miles did try calling me a bunch. According to my parents, they told him not to visit me right now. I did get an official notice saying that apparently there was now a legal case open against Lindy and one other girl for not only assault, but also public disturbance in the bar. So now I have to deal with all that legally. I finally talked to Miles, and long story short, those of you saying Lindy was isolating him was a sign that an abusive relationship was right. He told me all the things she said to him to make him feel awful. She would freak out about anything in her life and would take it out on him. She would scratch him and bite him when she was mad. Our talk ended with both of us crying and apologizing. We will be closer again. At least we can talk about these things more often. He broke up with her and is hiding at my parents' house. So that's it for now. OP then came in with another update and says, I'll update immediately and go into details later. There has been an official court date set for my process against Lindy. It took 2 months to get and is another 3 months out, but something is something. Our lawyer said that Lindy is probably not going to jail as she is a first-time offender. If she's going to jail, it would be no more than 3 months. Most likely she's got to pay a fee of 100 days of her income or something like that. I'll let my father deal with this 100% because I have no head for it. There is a second lawsuit going on at the same time, as I am legally chronically ill. The hairline fracture was not a passing thing but developed. I am daily in pain. Not every day is bad, but not a day passes where I'm not in at least a 2 on the pain scale. As a result, I've not been able to work. Right now, my insurance pays 75% of my former income, and my workplace covers the rest. But I'm probably going to get fired. So my insurance filed a claim against Lindy to pay my lost wages. I am right now not in contact with Miles. I tried to be supportive, but being disabled by his jealous ex-girlfriend made me bitter against him. He was a victim, but now I can't live my life, and I blame him partly for that. I'm in therapy to work through all of that and have taken up some new hobbies. I've started to write more and am looking into courses or online classes. Miles's parents have been apologetic and have supported me a lot. His mother has been a saint. She volunteered to drive me everywhere, and I've actually become friends with her. We even went to see Deadpool and Wolverine. She is a stay-at-home wife, so we have a lot of time. One of Lindy's friends reached out through my lawyer, offering a testimony against her own friend. She also sent a letter apologizing. To make it short, Lindy had told them I was bullying her and that Miles had once already cheated on her with me. So that's where we're at right now. Take care and shield your back. Then OP came in with what was their final update and says, "Hi everyone, things have finally settled enough for me to share an update. The court case is over. Lindy was sentenced to actual prison time, and none of it is suspended. She also had to pay restitution for my medical expenses, lost wages, and pain and suffering. The court didn't miss a thing. They went through all the evidence, the testimonies, and even the messages, and it was clear who was at fault. I cannot tell you how much of a relief it is." During the trial, Lindy claimed I'd been bullying her and that I planned the pub incident to ambush her in the bathroom where there were no cameras. She said I struck first. 2 of her friends backed her up, but the third one, who was also part of the attack, ended up telling the truth to avoid harsher punishment. It was obvious their stories didn't line up, and when the outside CCTV footage and witnesses from the pub were brought in, a whole narrative fell apart. The court didn't buy it, especially with all the messages Lindy had sent me before the incident. She could not explain why someone supposedly bullying her would also be the one receiving threats from her. It also came out that Lindy and her new boyfriend had been intimidating witnesses. He even messaged me on Instagram, trying to get me to say something incriminating or admit to something I didn't do. At first, I didn't realize who it was, so I replied briefly. But once I figured it out, I stopped immediately. Thankfully, I had already handed over everything to my lawyer, so it was documented. Watching her lawyer try to frame her actions as acting out under stress while knowing she was tampering with the actual case was surreal. There were a moment outside the courtroom where my parents and Lindy's parents talked. It wasn't an argument, but it was uncomfortable. My parents pointed out how everything presented in court made it clear what Lindy had done. Lindy's parents didn't argue back, but they seemed completely out of their depth. They mentioned being shocked by how much she had escalated things and admitted they hadn't understood how serious it was. They've taken on the financial burden of a restitution, which means I know the money for everything will come through. It's hard to say if they are doing it out of guilt or to protect their image, but either way, it is one less thing for me to worry about. Adjusting to my new normal has been a mixed bag. The chronic pain is still there, and my surgery isn't happening for a few more months. I've also been dealing with endless back and forth of German bureaucracy. My insurance keeps sending letters asking, "Hey, you still disabled? Lol." As if chronic pain and unhealed fracture could magically fix themselves. Every time I think I'm done explaining my situation, they send me another form to fill out. It's exhausting, but my doctors have been really supportive and always help me get the paperwork sorted. Some days are harder than others, and there are moments when I feel sad about how much my life has changed. A few months ago, I was stuck in that sadness, angry all the time, and constantly thinking about how unfair this all is. I think I was grieving the life I thought I would have. Now though, I've accepted that this is my life, and even if I never fully heal, I know I'll manage. I'm not letting Lindy take up any more space in my head than she already has. I've started focusing on things that make me happy again. My friends and I started a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and they come over to my place to play. They're so patient when I need breaks or the pain gets bad. Through that group, I met someone. At first, I was nervous about getting close to him because I thought he might see my situation as too much to deal with. But he's been amazing. He drives me to appointments, brings me groceries once a week, and has never made me feel like a burden. I'm falling in love with him, and for the first time in a while, I feel hopeful. I've also been keeping my mind busy with the courses and finally rewatched all of How I Met Your Mother. Sometimes I catch myself comparing my old life to this one, and it makes me sad. but I don't stay in that feeling as long as I used to. I've started finding a balance between moving forward and letting myself feel everything that comes with this new chapter. I've distanced myself from Miles' parents. They were wonderful to me, but I've realized he needs their support now, more than I do, and it should be undivided. I still don't know if I can forgive him. To this day, I haven't. Thank you to everyone who supported me through all of this. It's been a long road, but I feel like I'm on the other side of it. Take care of yourselves and hold on to people that make your life lighter. They make all the difference. And if I'm being 100% honest, that I don't blame OP for not forgiving Miles in this situation. I get 100% he was a victim of what was going on here. Absolutely. But also the inaction enabled Lindy's behavior until it actually became violent in this. And OP is going to be dealing with that for the rest of their life. And I'm glad that OP is able to rebuild their life, focusing on rebuilding it, and rather than dwelling in the bitterness. Everything that happened is admirable. It's got to be said. And let's face it, what happened in the early part of the story was absolutely horrific, what happened to OP. And I don't want to play it down to just like mean girl behavior, because it feels like in some ways that's playing it down, because it was so much more than that. It almost felt really calculated in some ways. And like we said before, OP's going to suffer for the rest of their lives for what they actually did. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.